Hi everyone, this is Alan Rosinski of Metro Manhattan Office Space. Now, the premier retail strip in New York City, Madison Avenue, Madison Avenue's Gold Coast between 57th and 72nd Street is not what it used to be. Now, in the past, retailers would compete anytime there was a vacancy. They would be submitting offers, and landlords would have their pick of a number of luxury retail chains to lease their vacancy to. And over the years, that has changed. Retail started to go into decline many years ago with the advent of online shopping. The neighborhood, Madison Avenue, already had a considerable vacancy rate in February, and this has accelerated considerably since the start of the pandemic. Right now, the vacancy rate on Madison Avenue, or the availability rate, retail spaces which can be leased, which have tenants in them, and actual retail spaces which are vacant, is up to 1/3. And very large retailers have left, like Barney's, which had a massive presence on 60th Street in Madison, vacated in February right before the start of the pandemic. John Varvatos has left, and you have several other vacancies now, and rents have dropped considerably. To give you an idea of what's going on with pricing, a tenant located on Madison Avenue between 69th and 70th Street, a clothing store by the name of Akris, actually bought their building and bought two adjacent buildings. They bought the three buildings for $45 million, and that works out to a price of $1,340 a square foot. That's about the lowest price in a decade. And this is one astute tenant, because the risk of tenants in areas like that is when their lease comes up for renewal and the rent gets hiked up, they may be forced to leave the space, or they could be held hostage and forced to renew. Now, Akris is never going to have that problem. And I mean, it's just possible that many retailers on Madison Avenue will follow suit and take the opportunity to buy their buildings. But if you've had a price drop to a level which hasn't existed in 10 years, and this is for a sale, imagine what the rents are. Now, to give you an idea of what rents were and may be on Madison Avenue, is that they peaked at about $1,600 a square foot around 2015. By March, they were down to $800 a square foot. And March was a long time ago, 7 months ago. Imagine what they are now. But to give you an idea of the economics of leasing space on Madison Avenue, I want to tell you, most of the retailers there, they never made a cent. These were flagship stores. They were just there for the retailer's visibility, for branding and marketing purposes, that everybody knew that a retailer with a location on Madison Avenue was a major player. So for retail chains that had 200 or 300 locations, they really weren't so concerned if their Madison Avenue location was profitable. What they were looking for is the image, the prestige, and the branding of having a Madison Avenue location. Now, over the years, with the advent of e-commerce, this changed. The profitability of these retail businesses eroded over time, and they were less and less over time able to afford the high rents on Madison Avenue. So gradually over time, the vacancy rates increased. Now, for some time, luxury retailers were insulated because shoppers who are going into a store to buy a $3,000 watch, they want to be taken care of. They want to be able to see the merchandise, the watch, the jewelry, the luxury clothing. They want to see it, touch it. They want a shopping experience. They want to be catered to. They want the salesperson to explain the nuances of a product, and that's something which is difficult to migrate online, though I think younger people, the younger generation, is becoming more and more accustomed to buying absolutely everything online, luxury or not. But what really has taken its toll on Madison Avenue is the sort of shoppers, the sort of market that would walk into these stores were office workers. They were residents of the Gold Coast, which incidentally is one of the wealthiest residential areas in New York City, the 10065 zip code. You also have Billionaires Row on 57th Street, owners of high-end co-ops and condominiums on Madison and Park Avenue. They go strolling on the weekends, walking into these stores and making purchases of tens of thousands of dollars. Now, many of these people have, for the moment, relocated in Connecticut and Long Island, and they're not there. The office workers are telecommuting, so they're not there. And the tourists, the tourists have stayed home. So it doesn't leave much in the way of traffic for retailers who are paying $1,200, $1,500, $1,600 a square foot. So many of them are not doing so well, and many of them have left. But in terms of the future of Madison Avenue, everything is cyclical. Things will come back. You just cannot replicate the full shopping experience that you can for luxury brands online. And when things normalize, the office workers come back, the tourists come back, the cycle will start again, and rents may increase or start going in the other direction, gradually increasing over time. They may never go back to the point they were prior to the pandemic, but they would have the potential to appreciate. Many years ago, I represented the retailer Charles Tyrwhitt, a men's clothing retailer, and they explained something which I found very interesting about how modern retail works. What I was told is that there's really three critical elements of a successful retail business. In order to be profitable, a retail business has to have a retail location, which is high traffic, visible. They need to have a very strong online presence, and they need to be successful with mail order. These are the three elements of a successful retail business in the modern age, which is a real estate element, an online element, and a mail order element. Now, this was men's clothing, and of course the formulas certainly vary from industry to industry. But unlike 25 years ago, they are no longer strictly real estate driven, and this has changed Madison Avenue. If you found this content interesting or helpful, I'd be happy if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Metro Manhattan. Until the next time.